So for over 30 years, I've been working with talent. More importantly, I've been working with clients to help them attract talent and retain talent. And along the way, I've also built several of my own large businesses, which have required me to attract my own talent pool. Now, it's fair to say, when I was first invited to come and speak to this conference, my knowledge of the international Bodyshop industry could have been written on a grain of rice. In fact, when I was first called by IBIS, I thought, well, at least I'll have plenty of hotel rooms. But then I did my research, and it confirmed something that I already suspected. And this was also reinforced last night with various conversations that I had with delegates. Your industry, like any industry that requires a talented workforce, faces exactly the same people challenges. Everyone struggles to attract and retain talent. And that's where employer brand comes in. I don't care how good your product is. I don't care how good your technology is. I don't care how good your marketing is. What businesses sometimes forget is that whilst 100% of their customers are people, 100% of their employees are people as well. And if you don't understand your people, then you don't understand your business. So what do we mean by your employer brand? Well, it's quite simple. It's all about your efforts to make your workplace the most attractive place to be. And it encompasses a huge range of factors. Yes, pay and conditions, but location, ethics, corporate social responsibility, learning and development, and of course your products. There are many pillars to building your employer brand, but if you want to build a solid superstructure, you need to start with a strong foundation. And that foundation is belief. As a race, we are attracted to people with similar beliefs to ourselves. We form friendships and bonds with those people, and we trust people with similar beliefs. And these trust relationships define our actions. You must operate your business based on your beliefs, not on what you think people should believe about you. Where's my clicker? Have I got a clicker? Ah, thank you. So people get Harley-Davidson tattoos. Hey, there we go. So people get Harley-Davidson tattoos. Why? Because it says something about them to other people. They believe they have similar values to that brand. Now, out of interest, when did you last see someone with a Nestle tattoo? Google it. I did. I can't find a single one, so I had to make one. Not very well. I don't do arts and crafts. So when you're creating your employer brand, it's essential it's based on your core values as a business, because any whiff of this being fake or false or marketing BS, you'll be found out and you'll do irreparable damage. With a genuine brand that people can trust, you will be attractive to exactly the people you want to work for you, and you won't be attractive to the people you don't want to work with you, who might just be doing the job for money or some other short-term reason. So having laid the foundation, what's the first pillar? For me, it's engaged purpose. Organisations need a purpose that can connect employees with their management and then their customer. So you're out for a walk, and you see 3 people digging a hole. And you go up to the first one and you say, what are you doing? He says, I'm digging a hole. You ask the next one, what are you doing? He said, I'm digging a foundation. You ask the third person, what are you doing? I'm building a cathedral. Which of those 3 people doing the same job has got an engaged purpose? It's a nice cathedral. I don't know where it is. Engaged purpose matters. It directly impacts your growth, your stability, your products, and therefore your customers. Let's bust a myth. If I pay the best market rates, I'll get the best talent. Wrong. Money only buys time, not loyalty. A company that competes for talent on a cash basis is vulnerable to the next big offer. This game of escalating salaries is like an arms race. It's expensive, and if not ultimately difficult, if not impossible, to win. Do you think Google play the best market rates in Silicon Valley for their engineers? I can tell you they don't. They don't have to. They've got such a strong brand that people would work there for free just to put it on their CV. For previous generations, money was a more important factor, but things have changed. Generational attitudes have changed, particularly in the millennial and post-millennial generations. Salary influences, but does not decide an employment decision these days. What individuals put greater emphasis on when deciding a new role now is, what's this company's impact on the environment? What's its commitment to social responsibility? What does diversity mean to them? What are their corporate values and beliefs? How will they look after me? And you know what? It doesn't actually matter what the answer to any of those questions is. What matters is that you have an answer, that it's clear, that it's consistent, and you believe it. After all, at the end of the day, you do not want to attract employees that don't share your values, whether they're progressive values or not. Let me give you an example on corporate social responsibility. I ask a lot of people what corporate social responsibility is, and they'll say it's companies giving back to their communities. My definition of CSR is this. Corporate social responsibility involves any impact a company has on its people, the environment in which it operates, and the environment where its products have an impact. Conceived as a marketing tool, it became a way for brands to show how nice they were, and ranged from charitable donations to international causes, through to staff donating their time to local causes and projects. And the donations generated publicity for companies, and it helped. The thing is, the impact on employer brand of these activities has been massively diminished over time. Because not only has everyone else caught up, but the younger generations genuinely care more about these topics, and they judge potential employees on their actions more than ever before. And they smell out if it's marketing whitewash. Many large-scale corporate foundations are perceived as corporate tax breaks, basically, with little true, genuine feeling or passion for the cause. When I tell you that a very well-known coffee company donates just 0.01% of its profit to their foundation, despite plastering it over the walls of every single one of their stores, you kind of get what I mean. So my message here is simple. Do it properly, or just don't do it at all. When defining your CSR agenda, you should keep in mind two things. Is it relevant? If you're a bottled water company digging wells in Africa, that's relevant. If you're an insurance company sponsoring the local rugby team, that's not relevant. That's not even CSR, that's marketing. Secondly, is it effective? CSR is only valuable if it makes a difference and will positively impact and fuel your employer brand if the results are demonstrable to both your audiences, be that employees or customers. And our next important pillar is communications. So many organisations I've worked in do annual staff surveys. What a complete waste of time most of them are. All you'll get in an annual staff survey is a snapshot of how people are feeling now. Any issues that they raise will be current issues, not long-term strategic issues that will otherwise affect your business. If you're not taking the pulse of your organisation with a team that are delivering your products on a monthly or worst-case scenario quarterly basis, then you might as well not bother. Secondly, I think there are several formal key communication points that every company, irrespective of size, should maintain with their people. And that's in addition to informal things such as anonymous suggestion boxes. The first comes with annual appraisals that every good firm should be doing. They need to be genuine 360-degree appraisals, where the manager, yes, appraises the member of staff, talks about their future, their development opportunities, but the employee also appraises both the company and the manager and feeds back what they feel could be done better. Remember, most people that leave companies because they're unhappy leave managers, not the companies. I'll say that again. People leave managers, not the companies. The second is some form of employee engagement group, where members of various departments come together on a regular basis with the company's leadership, and the company's leadership outlines investment plans, future products, etc. And the group are able to give feedback on that. It enables them to provide feedback to the shop floor, which is accurate information to their colleagues, which has the added benefit of quashing rumours and speculation, which are the most significant causes of instability in your businesses. Think of this like a shareholder briefing that you might have to give out to an external market, because your employees are shareholders in your business. They might not be equity shareholders, but they are shareholders. In these meetings, be open, be honest. If things are going well, celebrate it. If things are challenging, be honest about it. That honesty will promote real trust and loyalty in your leadership. And you'll get repaid with a we're in this together attitude amongst your team. The third is exit interviews. Every single person who leaves your business should have a proper exit interview. It's a gloves-off chance for them to tell you what they think you're doing wrong. Now, you might not agree with a lot of what they say, but over time, you'll build up some data points which might identify a more strategic issue in your business that you didn't know you had. And whilst we're on the subject of leavers, let me encourage you to celebrate them as they leave. Yeah? Many people leave jobs with genuinely better opportunities, a promotion, a chance to develop a new skill, a new geographic opportunity. This should be celebrated, and your team should see you celebrating that with their colleagues. Show them you're grateful for everything they've done for you and that you wish them well in the future. Remember that old saying, what goes around comes around? Who knows where that person will be in 2 or 3 years' time? Maybe with a new skill they'll return to you. Or if not, maybe they'll evangelize you to their connections because they remember how well they were treated in your business. Let's look at the third pillar in building an employer brand. The recruitment process, how we bring people into our organisations. Because believe it or not, how you bring someone into your organisation has an absolutely direct impact on how long they stay with you. Now, firstly, cheaper than recruiting people is obviously retaining people. Retention starts at recruitment. Recruitment's the start of a new employee's journey with you. It sets the initial tone of the relationship, it forms their initial impression, and determines whether they'd recommend you to other colleagues and peers as an employer. We live in a world of first impressions. Brands live and die by these, not only in a B2C sense, but importantly, how they're perceived by individuals who could be potentially interested in joining. We've never been in such an age where impressions of an organisation or company can circulate so quickly around the talent pool. You've got websites such as Vault.com and Glassdoor that actually allow people to leave reviews, not only employees, but also people who've been through your interview process. Any employer that doesn't think of themselves as a brand in the talent market and doesn't apply similar principles to how they attract both employees and customers are going to be left behind. Now, I see what you're thinking. Sure, if we're XYZ Inc., then we need to think about this. But if we're a major brand like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, I bet we don't. They're going to attract loads of people to our roles. Well, you've missed the point. They've already done it. They have a strong employer brand, which is why they're now a very attractive organisation to work for. One of my favourite quotes, there are 3 kinds of people in the world: those who make things happen, those who watch what happened, and those who wonder what happened. And I think this applies to to companies, as much as it does to individuals. You can put your company in that first category if you want to, and it's not about having the hottest product, because what's hot today will be cold tomorrow. It's about having the most alluring proposition for talent. You don't need to be Google or Facebook, you just need to create a sustainable brand as a recognised leading employer. Companies that attract and retain staff are those that are progressive, responsive and dynamic, not only in the work they do, but the way that they recruit. Now, we all know frontline operational staff rarely have the time to dedicate to an accurate recruitment process. They're too busy serving customers. So I once spoke to the manager of a mid-sized supermarket. It's about 15 tills, around 30 staff on duty. I noticed that only 10 of the 15 tills were open, and the rest of the staff were out filling shelves. So I asked the manager, why don't you take people off the shelves and put them on the tills to serve the customers better? And he said, well, it's really simple. Those in the queue have already got their products. It's highly unlikely they're going to walk away from their trolley load of shopping they've put an hour into building just for a 5-minute wait at the tills. But those customers still out and about in the shop can only put things in their basket if they're on the shelves. So he felt that the best way to serve his customer was to put more emphasis on the back office and replenishment than serving them quickly at the tills. And the same lesson can be applied to talent acquisition. If you're constantly too busy to recruit, then you will never grow. Because you're too busy to recruit, you can only grow through recruitment, and it's a vicious circle. As I mentioned earlier, one of the most important factors when creating a broad brand is it must be an honest reflection of your business ethics and culture. It's pointless attracting someone to your business if the moment they walk through the door, they see a completely different reality than the picture that you portrayed. And whilst we're talking about recruitment, HR professionals are generally not the best recruiters. Okay? They're very important to the process, they're very important to the company, but they should not own the recruitment process. Your best recruiters are your existing employees, if you have a strong employer brand. Your largest number of recruiters are your employees, not the people that work in your HR department. Because the employees are the people that are going to be more likely to be talking to other people in your industry, and they're the people that are going to attract people to your business. So we looked at various means of communication, ways to engage with your team. Sometimes you just have to tell people what to do, right? We all see the signs, don't grab hold of the cable that's 50,000 volts. Now, I've got no problem with this, but there's ways to make those messages more engaging and therefore more noticeable, which is surely the point. Look at these two signs. Think which one has a better impact on you and is therefore more effective. Same message, stylistically very different. One's dictatorial and it gets the message across, but it almost guarantees a negative reaction. People's natural reaction when you say don't is to do. Don't press the red button. With the second example, the message is the same, but it gives the reason a lighter way. You are more likely to get compliance if you create messages that are engaging to your team. I've been in so many organisations that have passive-aggressive signs plastered around the break room walls with what I call don't leave your coffee cup messages. It seems a minor point, but if things like that set the tone of your workplace. It's the first thing an employee will see when he come in to work in the morning, and if it's a negative message, well, that sets a negative tone for the day. Now, a bit controversial, stop over-investing in customer service. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? So we did a survey recently of business owners, and we said, if you get an investment in your business, what are you going to spend it on? Take out capital expenditure, and high up on the list is investing in customer service. Don't. Invest in your team. If you invest in your team, they will be happier and more motivated. A happier and more motivated team will automatically go the extra mile to serve your customers. Therefore, your customers will be happy and won't require customer service. A famous UK retailer used to provide its staff access to things like a solicitor, a dentist, a doctor, hairdresser at work. This meant that the workplace was very attractive to more mature employees, such as returning to work mothers. They wouldn't have been able to access those in a normal full-time role, and therefore they stayed out of the workforce. These workers were experienced and hence provided an excellent customer experience. Then a clever management consultant came along and said, look, it'll be a lot cheaper to ditch all those services and just give people extra time off. What happened? They lost a whole swathe of this mature workforce who couldn't be bothered to try and organise time off in time with when the doctor's available, etc., etc. As a result, the customer experience was massively degraded because the customer was now being served by much younger, inexperienced staff who couldn't relate to their needs. Let me ask you, where can you get some of the best food for breakfast, lunch or dinner in Silicon Valley? The answer is the Google staff canteen. Why? Well, Google worked out if you provide quality services in the workplace, your staff don't have to leave. They work harder, they work longer, but crucially, they think you're the most amazing employer in the world for providing them with all this free food. And if you don't believe that's why they provided all these free services, let me tell you, the easiest way to get sacked from Google is to try to take any of the on-site food off the campus. Instant dismissal. So, let's refresh on some of the key pillars of creating a killer employer brand. That didn't work. There we go. First, you don't need to engage services of WPP. Right? Sure, larger companies trying to reach a larger talent pool can enhance their reach by increasing spending and getting their message out there. But guess what? If you haven't done the basics, it doesn't matter. Your message can be flung as far and wide as you like, but it won't make any difference. So the first pillar relates to the fundamentals of the brand itself. You need a very clear definition of what your core values are, what your culture is, what your CSR agenda is, what your attitude to external issues is. And I call that getting your message right. Secondly, remember that the retention of staff is directly linked to the recruitment of staff. If you don't have an efficient recruitment process, your chances of holding on to an employee for a long time is greatly diminished. This is called getting your process right. And the third pillar is how your company operates. Do you offer flexible working? Do you offer clearly defined learning and development and progression opportunities? Do you have a strong internal two-way communications between the management and your team? And I call this getting your proposition right. Now, there are many books written on employer brand. I particularly enjoy one called Refueling Your Employer Brand by a guy called James Courtley, but that's by the by. But it's really simple at its core. You are who you are. Celebrate that or change that, but don't try and disguise that. Employer brand's a tenuous concept. It's hard to measure. Sure, you can do polls, and there are plenty of best companies to work for in every imaginable category. Thing is, those don't build any value in your employer brand, because if you're number one, there's still 10 organisations close enough to you to make similar claims. Don't mix up best companies to work for with employer brand. Best company to work for is your marketing team's wet dream. better for selling to clients than it is to employees. Employer brand is subtly different. It's about respect for the individual throughout your business processes. It's about doing things significantly differently than the way your competitors do, and it's about bucking the perceived wisdom. Ignore it at your peril. You might not notice the repercussions in the short term, things will get trickier in the medium term, and they'll become impossible in the long term, at which point you'll be paying above market rates for very average talent that has no emotional investment in your organisation. So the one takeaway from this on why employer brand is so important? It's simple. It'll cost you 140% of an employee's annual cost to replace them. So it's much better to invest a little bit in retaining them. I'll leave you with one last story. Remember, anyone in your organisation at any level could transform your business overnight. There's a specialist sausage manufacturer in England. Small but high quality. They've been selling their wares to delicatessens, etc. Now, for our German colleagues in the audience, I don't need to explain what a good sausage looks like. But for our American friends, the one on the left is a sausage. The one on the right is not a sausage. Please stop calling them sausages. Anyway, this company became very successful. It won a major contract with a big UK supermarket. The problem now they had was how on earth do they fulfill this? Right? They didn't have the time or money for a capital investment in a new sausage making machine. And they were packing what their current machine could make as quickly as they possibly could. So they asked their team. They had a very engaged workforce. The person who solved the problem was probably the lowest paid person in the company. He was a packer on the sausage line, putting sausages into pallets. He recognised that the machine was only pushing out sausages at 50% of its capacity. The problem was with packing. So he suggested they build another packing line and then put a little flap at the exit of the machine, sending the sausages left and right. They staffed up the other packing line, they doubled production overnight. This is why having a team that's engaged with your purpose is important, and it's why communication in any business is essential to success. I'll leave you with my favourite, if not much overused, quote. If you're not the lead husky, then the view never changes. Thank you very much.